So with any good app, well, we need a plan.
Yeah, and I actually got a lot of great ideas. Hear me out.
Little did they know, they'll face three huge challenges. Number 1. Apple's
We're
restrictions.
dealing with Apple. And you see, Apple cares about a lot of things like, human rights, user privacy, security. And so a lot of things that Kaylee mentioned, well, we straight up can't do them.
Oh, did not know that, Daniel. That's a lot of restrictions. So what are the alternatives then?
Well, it turns out what we can do is we can sort of just make the user fail as soon as they leave the app. But we add a little timer there so they have a chance to go back to the app. It's sort of what Focus Traveler does, and I think it works pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the next part is we need to talk about the language. Because here's the thing, there's a lot of ways for you to develop iOS apps, but with the already tight restrictions, we thought that we had to use Swift. Because Swift is integrated with everything iPhone and everything Apple, and we didn't want to add any more restrictions on top of what we already have.
Yep.
And finally, we had to choose a deadline.
So like 3 days, right?
I will pan for your appendix.
Okay, my bad.
Okay, Daniel, how's the app coming along?
So, funny story. Turns out you need a Mac.
Womp
Yeah. I'm poor.
So how much do you have then?
$30 a month, which is just enough for a remote Mac. So coming into this, I had no idea what I was doing. See, I didn't have a Mac, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. The real problem was the fact that I really liked to make assumptions. See, I had experience building websites in React, and Swift seemed to follow a pretty similar structure. Naturally, I thought that they would be exactly the same. But alas, they were not. And in hindsight, this should have been obvious, but apps don't have links. And pretty soon, I realized that I had no idea how to switch between different screens. For example, let's say you wanted to create a website with a home screen and a timer screen. In React, all you had to do is navigate to a new link, and boom, you go from the home page to the timer page. You're on the timer page now. But in Swift, all the screens live in the same app. So there isn't this concept of what a new page is. As such, all the screens are interlinked together, and it becomes a bit of a challenge getting them to transition smoothly between each other. Now, I thought I'd be able to get around this problem really easily. In React, if I was in the home view, what I could do was I could prepare a timer view by setting the initial amount of time and the timer type. Then all I had to do was move the timer view onto the user screen. Very clean, very simple. It turns out in Swift, you're not allowed to store views. And as such, you can't actually prepare a timer view because there's nowhere to store it. For 2 pages, it's pretty easy to get around that. There's many one-off strategies. But when you have 25 screens, potentially more, well, things start to get really finicky. Eventually, after a bit of searching, I realized that Apple comes with its own box of solutions. For example, if you wanted to have the user switch between different views on their screen, all you had to do was use the tab view. And if you want to have a view appear on the screen and then get destroyed after the user is done with it, well, you could just use a navigation stack for it. And if you want to do anything with animations, you could just put your changes in a with animation block and Apple would handle the rest. There's also this MVVM architecture that was used for preparing views. Here, instead of preparing the view itself, what you would do is you would prepare the data for the view, which is pretty easy to store. Then you just have the view appear onto the screen, and if you set this up right, the view would use the data that you've already prepared, effectively quote-unquote preparing the view. There were also some things that Swift did really well. For example, if you had your settings in one place and you updated it in one part of the app, that update would propagate to the rest of the app and everything would be synchronized very cleanly. And finally, would this be anything if not for my 2 best friends, ChatGPT and Cursor? They made this process super streamlined and super easy. But there were some times when they were kind of frustrating,